Hello Cancer, welcome to your weekly tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever energy comes through during our time together. I am merely the messenger. And I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I'm providing. Remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And there is a Nine of Cups. If you're a follower of this channel, you know that the Nine of Cups is one of my favorite energies. It may not be my favorite visual imagery, but it's one of my favorite energies. We're going to put that into some context, okay, with our Dove and Serpent spread. And as I lay these cards out, I would also like to say that if there's anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments, okay? So we are finishing up the Dove and Serpent spread. These cards look pretty good. Mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. I would like to use the Antique Anatomy Tarot deck today. I've been using the Rider-Waite-Smith for the mystery card, but I feel like I need to give this is kind of a new deck. The cards are still pretty stiff, but this is a really lovely deck. Beautiful imagery on the Antique Anatomy deck. So we'll use that for the mystery card. We're not going to look at that until the very end of the reading. Okay. Hopefully that'll tie everything together and give us our confirmation. So we have some water, quite a bit of water to deal with right here at the beginning, in the middle of the path of the dove. Seems pretty fitting for a Cancer, right? We've got some fire, and then we've got these three major arcana, which interesting configuration on the major arcana here, because it's creating this, well, it's kind of an inverted triangle, right? But it's also this kind of bowl, this support, that we are being supported by this divine energy, okay? And to me, right away, that feels like a very, very lovely, wonderful, comforting feeling. We have this divine energy supporting us so that we can deal with what we're dealing with, and we could fight the good fight. The Seven of Wands up here at the top. This is what we're consciously looking toward. We're coming from a position of this water, but we're supported by the divine energy. Okay, so let's feel that for a moment, shall we? And on the path of the serpent, we have some air to deal with. Then we've got our majors and some water again. So it's major arcana and water. Major arcana and water. A little bit of challenges with the fire and the air here, but major arcana and water. So to me, with the Nine of Cups here, I feel like the general message, the general energy for the next few days, next 7 days, these readings are timeless. I've had people that tell me these readings don't manifest for a week, a month, a year down the road. Some people say that this is going on right now, today. Some people say this is what happened yesterday. So I've removed the timestamps from my readings, okay? And basically, whenever you're watching this, I feel like this energy extends out for a few days from now, but for different people, it could manifest at different times, okay? So I think it's a good idea to kind of write down, maybe in your journal or on your phone or whatever, the important points that you walk away from this reading with. And those are the important points for you to be on the lookout for in your life. Okay. Now with the Nine of Cups, I feel like we are in this very optimistic state. Okay. Now, optimism, I think it was maybe some ancient Greek philosopher that said, optimism is the only thing you have when things are so bad that they can only get better. That's optimism, right? Pessimism, on the other hand, is when things are so great right now that the only way we can go is down, right? They can only get worse. That's pessimism. We have a little bit of both right here with this 9 and this 8 of Cups. I feel like we're kind of shifting between the 8 and the 9 of Cups, okay? But the 9 of Cups is very special because the 9 This is our starting point. This is what we know to be fundamental and foundational to our lives right now. This is the pursuit of our happiness. Okay? This is not the attainment of happiness. This is not why we are looking to better our lives or looking to improve things. This is the active pursuit of that happiness. And happiness, to me, I think in this context, is a physical well-being, right? We want to be healthy. We want to be happy. And we want to be intellectually challenged and stimulated, right? So we have happiness, we have abundance on 3 levels. Physical well-being, I want to be healthy. Emotional well-being, I want to feel happy, right? And the intellectual stimulation or challenge, I want to learn, I want to grow. I want to improve myself. I want to perfect my existence, right? And perform my art. And I think these 3 things together, that's the pursuit of real satisfaction and real fulfillment in your life. And these manifest in different ways for different people. And I'm always very curious. I'm always very open and welcoming to you leaving me comments and telling me what this pursuit of happiness looks like for you. Now, you don't have to go into personal details, but I'm so curious how we're all in this 9 of Cups energy, but the way it manifests is so unique. It's so different between all of us, you know. We all have different ideas of what this pursuit of happiness means. You know, I have my own list of things that I need to accomplish for the physical happiness, the physical health and well-being, for the emotional happiness, for my intellectual development. And not to overlook the spiritual component. Because this card's showing the 3 levels of life, the 3 planes of existence as far as physical, emotional, mental. But there's a spiritual plane, right? And I think that's the invisible kind of 4th row here, if this was maybe a 12 of cups, right? So it's abundance on every level, and this is what we're after. And this is a real optimism. Now, I say optimism with a little bit of an asterisk next to it, because I wonder if this 8 of Cups is talking about maybe we're not in the best place in our life right now, right? Maybe not everything is going according to plan. Maybe not everything is perfect right now, right? Maybe the reason we have such optimism is because things are not perfect, and we know that. The key here, I think, is that we're supported by this divine energy, so we're not losing hope. We're not sinking down into this 8 of Cups and just being miserable and completely losing ourselves, losing our fire, losing our passion, losing our soul or spirit, right? We know that we're supported by this divine energy, and that is pushing us to continue working very hard on fulfilling our goals. And we do this one step at a time, okay? We do it one cup at a time. So I feel like, especially as Cancer folk, which I don't know if you know, I'm a Cancer as well, solar Cancer. I'm actually right on the cusp of Cancer and Leo. But I tend to identify more with Cancer than I do with Leo, and you can probably tell just looking at my channel's numbers, right? My Leo videos, they don't do that well. And I'm still trying to connect with that Leo energy, to be honest with you. But the Cancer energy, I've always identified with that. And I think it's easy for us to take account of, be aware of what things are not going well for us, right? What the problems are day to day, you know. The little health issues, the habits that I wish I could change as far as, you know, my activity level or my eating habits. The things that I need to pursue or that I need to work on internally for my own soul, my own spirit, to pursue this happiness. It's easy for us to focus on those negative things, the things that we're maybe not doing correctly, the things that maybe we need to change, right? So we're very much aware, I think Cancer energy in general is very aware of what the negatives are, right? But what we've got this week, I think, is very special because we have this divine energy supporting us. We're being like cradled, kind of, right? And sometimes Cancers need a little bit of cradling, okay, by spirit, by the divine. And that is allowing us to focus now on what we can do right, what choices we can implement right now, right? To get closer to the 12 of Cups, right? The magical, mythical 12 of Cups that we're after. And if you know this channel, you know that I don't like the 10 of Cups, so I'm happy that we don't have the 10, right? You may think of the 10 of Cups as being absolute fulfillment and happiness, and things could not be any better. Maybe, yeah, but from what I just said, if we had that, we would be focused more on just the misery and how things can only get worse from here, right? So what we're looking for is to be in such pursuit of our happiness that we can leave some of the negative energy behind and focus on what's positive, focus on what we can do right now to get better, to feel better, to do better, right? To have more happiness, more fulfillment, more satisfaction, more pursuit of our purpose, more exercising of our will, right? Rather than taking on this idea of, well, this is as good as it gets. Things are just going to be downhill from here. That's a very pessimistic attitude. So the 9 of Cups, I think this is very important. The 9 is an active, odd number. It's reaching out to grasp something, to pursue something, right? And we know it's going to be a struggle. We know that we have this 7. There are things that we have to fight against. It's mostly ourselves. It's mostly our feelings, our emotions, the moods that we get into. We have to fight against those. I feel like there's also something going on with you physically. I'm getting maybe some back or spinal, maybe pain. Maybe there's some sort of just, not an injury, but just something doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Just some back trouble. I feel like that's extending maybe through your spinal cord, into your lower back, maybe your hips and legs. And I feel like this is kind of a symbolic ailment, you know? This is maybe the first rung of this 9 of Cups ladder, the physical part. We have to feel good physically in order to begin to feel good emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Kind of starts with the body, right? So I think there are some challenges that we need to face in our physical life. Maybe we need to do more stretching. Maybe we need to see a doctor or a chiropractor. Now, I'm not giving any kind of medical advice. I'm not qualified or legally allowed to do that, okay? But in terms of wholeness and wellness and well-being, it wouldn't hurt to try to consult with your physician first, of course, but to begin some sort of a stretching routine, to stretch our spine, our spinal column, our back muscles, to get all of that loosened up, right? I think that will really translate into some emotional and mental well-being, if only because there's the release of that tension and stress that I think will have an effect on these other areas of our being, right? But anyway, I'm still feeling that there are challenges that we need to face. It's almost as if we know what we need to work on. You know, we know what we need to do to pursue our happiness. We kind of have this idea of what our happiness would look like. It's a matter of, I think, taking that first step and getting started, starting to climb this nine of cups ladder, right? I think there's no better time to start than right now. So the Seven of Wands is us really facing that challenge of kind of overcoming our own inertia, overcoming our own moods, and overcoming this something physical again with the back. It's almost as if the more we kind of stress over this, the more we get the back pain. And the more we get the back pain, the more difficult it is for us to get started to do these things for ourselves and for our happiness and for our future, right? Now we'll get to the future because I see this star card is over here, and I know you've been looking at it at the very end of the path of the serpent. And that is really us, I think, fully embracing this divine energy, allowing it to wash over us and heal us. We're receiving from the divine, and we're passing it along, right? We're expressing it into the horizontal world. So we have the horizontal here. We have the vertical path on the path of the dove here, right? The vertical axis. And we talked about what the central theme is, and then we know that there are challenges to face, things that we need to overcome. There's work that we need to do if we want to really, evolve, improve, pursue our happiness, find deeper and more enriching experiences in our life, right? Well, down here, part of this divine energy that's cradling us is this Mercury energy. Now, this Mercury energy is probably manifesting for you as a voice from your unconscious. It could be that you hear the brush or the flap of an angel's wings, right? It's just these subtle perceptions, and it's almost like the magician Mercury here is just leaving you little cryptic sticky notes around the house, right? And these are subtle clues that we need to pick up on, because these are the driving forces. These are telling us what we should be doing, where we should be looking, the things that we should be engaged in, right? The wisdom from the divine. Mercury or Hermes is the divine messenger, but likes to have its fun too, Doesn't want to just walk up to you and say, hey, this is the information, here's the message. No, it's gonna do it in a little bit more of a playful way, right? Little sticky notes here and there, little strange words or numbers or voices or symbols, signs, synchronicities, strange dreams. It could manifest as a lot of different things. It could manifest even as some paranormal activity, okay? And it is in the position of your unconscious, what's kind of beneath the surface. These messages are trying to reach your consciousness. And so the Mercury energy is starting out very, very subtle, and we may not even be aware of these messages. And then they become a little bit less subtle until one day it's impossible to ignore, okay? And I think you know what I mean, because I think you have a very intuitive energy. I think that you have almost a psychic energy. You've probably experienced psychic or paranormal phenomena since you could remember, since you were a kid, So I think that you know how to tune into this Mercury energy and receive these messages. And it's perhaps been many years since you've really listened or really tuned in to this Mercury energy. And that could be why it is down here beneath the surface. It's something that we've kind of ignored, right? This spiritual, this divine influence, this impulse, these synchronicities, these patterns that are all around us. If we choose to be aware of them, right? So it's beneath everything. I would almost expect it to be at least in the center or even up top on the path of the dove, to show that we are focused on that we are receiving those messages loud and clear. We're able to decode them, decipher them, decrypt them, and put them into action, right? Take them into account, apply them to our lives. But this Mercury energy is down below. It's still there. It's part of this supporting cradle that we see, right? The cradle of our happiness here. We've got to tune into this unconscious influence of this Mercury energy, okay? Because this is the wisdom coming from the divine realm. And it's coming by way of these subtle symbols and clues and the kind of spiritual sticky notes, you know. In the recent past, over here on this side of us, we have the Empress energy. I feel like you have been in the role of a caregiver, a nurturer for a long time. And it could be that we really have gotten very focused on this work, and we've kind of pushed this Mercury stuff down to the unconscious a little bit more, because we've been so engaged in this. Now, this could be something that is intensely fulfilling for you. I kind of feel like you are a maybe not a professional caregiver, but maybe like a volunteer caregiver. You know, if you do this work for income as your employment, that's not the primary reason why you're doing it. You could pick any job, right, and go make some money. But you feel drawn to this Empress, this nurturing, this caregiver kind of energy. So I think you've taken on that role as part of your kind of life's work, or how you have chosen to express a lot of this spiritual energy that you've always had, an intense connection to spirit. I think now, for the past few years, I think you've been very wrapped up in this caregiver role, that you have, again, pushed some of this divine energy down beneath the surface a little bit, right? But this is okay. This is part of you expressing yourself and fulfilling this aspect of you. And this Empress energy, this caregiver, this nurturing, this loving, supportive energy is very close to you. It's all around you. This is part of that divine cradle, the cradle of our happiness, right? So the work that you have before you, above you, in front of you, and on the path of the serpent is very much rooted in this kind of caregiver energy that you have, okay? I think you have an intense love for people, and you have such intense compassion. And I think that is a very wonderful starting point. I think there's a reason why we're being shown this card in the recent past, right? It could be that your role as this caregiver, this professional or volunteer kind of caregiver, I feel like you're doing it with an organization, right? It could be for money, but maybe not. But I feel like it's, it's in a more professional kind of setting. Anyway, it could be that your role there is finished. It could be that you have, maybe even retired from that professional setting. And that's why now we are here, right here where we are in the middle. But this was very important work for you. If you're still doing it, thank you for doing that. We need more people like you. If your role here is finished, that makes sense too, because now we have more time to kind of focus on these cups, right? And this Empress energy is still a large influence. You still feel that kind of nurturing caregiver energy, even if you may not be doing it professionally anymore, okay? In the immediate future, on the other side of us, kind of on our left hand, I guess we could say here, is the Priestess energy. So the way forward, the other kind of divine energy that we need to really rely on is related to the moon, okay? And the moon rules the sign of Cancer, okay? So this is in some ways taking these, our moods, our emotions, our sometimes optimism, sometimes pessimism, taking mostly this Eight of Cups, and sublimating those feelings into ritual, into prayer, into devotion to God, Goddess, deity, spirit, guardian angels, spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. Kind of as a bhakti yoga, right? A devotion, an offering, as a prayer or a ritual or an invocation, right? So a lot of these kinds of negative moods or negative emotions, they can be utilized. We can harness them and use them as a transmitter of sorts to call upon that divine energy in a more direct way. Because see, Mercury's down here. This is kind of indirect, right? This is the little subtle clues around you that are trying to point you down the right path. Maybe they're trying to point you here, where you're making direct contact. You're doing these invocations on your own, right? And it could be Mercury is kind of giving you the details of what to do, where and when and how. And then this is you doing that, taking that lunar energy, taking those fluctuating moods, right? The fluctuating tides of our emotions, this Eight of Cups, and channeling all of that energy into this prayer, ritual, divine kind of energy, right? Acting as a transmitter. And the moon energy here is also, it's also telling me that there is a G name here. And G could be for God or Goddess, but it could be a specific person in your life too, or a specific aspect of deity, an entity, a spirit, something with a letter G in there. Because I feel like there's a connection here with someone in your life that, and it could be a guardian angel, it could be a spirit, right? Because I know that you've had these kinds of psychic and or paranormal, these kind of divine experiences. And when we take the Mercury energy and the moon energy together, I feel like you've always had these kinds of experiences. It could be that you've always had contact with an angel who is always near you, but we haven't always been able to decipher what they're telling us, right? It could be that we've had this companion our entire life, but there are periods where we can understand the message, and then there are periods where we can't understand it or we're not even listening. Maybe we hear it, but we're not even writing it down. We're not even trying to figure it out. And that's why Mercury is beneath the surface. It's something we've kind of almost had to put on hold, right? So I'm feeling like these messages, these blessings, this grace that's coming in is increasing with you. And I think moving forward, especially when we begin to work with that emotional energy, that water, I think we're going to be able to take that water energy and turn it into a spiritual fire. Kind of turning water into wine here, I think you are. Excuse me. And this is why we see the art or temperance card. I think it's art in this case. The art of sublimating these negative emotions, the positive ones too, but mostly the negative energies that we feel. Sublimating those, offering them up as a ritual, as a prayer, as an offering to whatever higher power is in your life. Okay? And this literally is turning that emotional water, that lunar water, into spiritual fire. Now, we had some fire at the top of the path of the dove here, and that is us doing the effort, right? We're feeling the effects of our effort, I think, in our backs, in our spinal column. Now, that spinal column action could be a Kundalini thing, right? It could be an activation of the chakras. And that would also really dovetail nicely with us taking these emotions and turning them into this Kundalini force, activating this Kundalini energy. Okay, turning that water into spiritual fire, right? The water into wine, and the wine will flow. The love, the abundance, the celebration will flow. And this is kind of, I mean, the way I see this anyway is this is the Shushumna, right? The spinal column where the chakras are. And then up here at the top, this could be the crown chakra really being activated, right? This could really be talking about the imminence of this Kundalini experience and the activating of this crown chakra. Okay. So it depends on how we want to look at it and what terms we want to use, right? Because we could call this different things that can have many different labels, okay? So you apply the terminology that works for you, because we're talking about the same thing, all right? And with the Three of Cups, it's a real abundance. It is a real, it's the cup that runneth over, that never empties, right? As much love as you drink, as much spirit as you take into yourself, as you consume, as you give out to others, the cup never gets empty. It's very, very Taoist in that way, right? You could use it and use it and use it, and it never empties. Okay? And that, I think, is a very, very important energy for us to really fully feel, you know? Now we need to talk about this Seven of Swords. There's the one thing that's in your way, again, and that is, well, if it's not your moods, which, you know, I think we've got a handle on the moods, it's our over-rationalization of things. It's our overthinking of things. But this card has a kind of a double duty. This is a warning. It's also a promise, right? The promise is that if you can grasp that central sword, and that is your will, that is your steel resolve to activate this, right? We've got a Seven of Wands here. The Seven of Wands is a double duty as well. It's a warning and it's a promise, right? This is the warning that you know, there are going to be a lot of challenges in a physical and in an energetic way to your accomplishing your will. Right, what you're trying to do here. There are a lot of challenges that are going to come up against you to test you. But the promise is that this Kundalini is rising. Okay? And the warning here is that you may have this steel resolve. There are going to be a lot of doubts that come and test you. This is the mental trials, right? We had the physical / energetic trials and testing with the Seven of Wands. The Seven of Swords is the mental aspect of it, self-doubt, right? That devil of self-doubt creeping in. But as long as we are holding tight to this central sword, we'll make it. And that's the promise. The promise is that this is happening, that you will not budge or break no matter what the devil throws at you. No matter what doubts enter your mind, if you hold on to your central truth, you're going to make it. Okay? And what's the why any of this? That's star energy. Wonderful star energy. This is really the process of receiving the grace and the blessing from the heavens, from God, Goddess, Deity, from the universe, the blessings from the world around us and from the universe. And the blessings are not just a spiritual experience. It's a physical, mental, emotional, it's a full body experience, right? And this is, the blessings can take many, many forms. You could be blessed with health, with happiness, with loving relationships, with financial stability and security, with all of these things, right? It depends on how you're manifesting your your will, your Kundalini experience, your spiritual experience, how all of this abundance is manifesting, and what your pursuit of happiness looks like for you. So, like I said, we're all different, right? But you're receiving the grace and the blessings from the universe, and you're not just you're not coveting it though. You're sharing it. You're expressing it. It is that cup that runneth over, that never empties, right? The glass that is always full, right? No matter how much we drink from it, no matter how much we share it with others, it's the glass that's always full. So this is the end result. This is the goalpost here, and this is what we're aiming for, right? To receive this blessing and to extend the blessing out to the world around us, right? And that's when you know you've got this direct connection and you're acting as that transmitter. You're the receiver and the transmitter, right? You're doing both, importing, exporting. So this is a really fantastic way to end the path of the serpent. This is God, Goddess, Deity really answering, really bestowing upon us the blessings, the grace, the spiritual lustral waters that we have been asking for and working toward. It's not enough to just ask and wait. We're doing the work here. The Seven of Wands. We're doing the work. Right? Let's look at that mystery card. Antique Anatomy Tarot Deck. The images on these cards are truly beautiful. But what could this card be? I kind of am thinking like a 6 of something. You know, I'd like to see a 6 of discs, or wands would be good too, but maybe discs, showing that this is all manifesting on this plane, full body fulfillment, mental, emotional, spiritual, everything in harmony, perfect configuration. Now we've got the Art or Temperance card again. And this is a doubling of this energy, right? Of the Art or Temperance card. Now, the first time we encountered the Temperance card, we were talking about it being the art, right? The art of sublimating our emotions, of turning this negativity into positivity, of turning the water into wine, right? Turning the negative emotions into prayers and offerings, right? Sublimating, turning the water into spiritual fire. This time, maybe we're going more with the temperance side of things, okay? See on this card, it's kind of a left brain, right brain kind of thing. It is embracing the water just as much as we are trying to invoke that fire, okay? So I think this card is mostly a correction for me, and I'll tell you why. I might have given the impression that these negative emotions, this emotional lunar water, was something unwanted, was something that we just need to change it into fire, to turn the water to wine, to use it as an offering, as a prayer. And it may have given the impression that our negative emotions are something to be shunned or to be pushed away or rejected in some way. No, I don't think that is it at all, and I'm sorry if I gave that impression. It's very important for us, especially as Cancers, to be allowed to feel what we're feeling, right? We have to accept this Eight of Cups as a natural, normal part of our makeup, okay? So when we experience the negativity, the bouts of pessimism or melancholy, or we find the flaws in things, or we get into our moods, we have to feel it. We have to be allowed to feel it. And then we also have to temper it. We also have to, by our own God-given art, turn it into an offering, a prayer, a ritual, turn it into spiritual fire, motivation, right? So we have to strive for balance, right? And we have to allow our emotions to communicate their information to us. We have emotions for a reason. right? We can't just ignore them and push them aside or send them somewhere else. We have to listen to what they're trying to tell us, right? The corpus callosum, that space in between the two hemispheres, that's where all the magic really happens. That's where your head and your heart really can talk to each other, you know? And that is really what we see here with the spiritual fire and the lunar water. Those have to intermingle. We have to be able to understand. Wow, that was weird. This candle just went out. Maybe it's time for me to end this reading. I want to thank you for sticking around this long. I know this was a long one. We have to listen to what the emotions tell us, and I don't want to imply that we shouldn't accept the things that we feel, because they're a part of us. We can't ignore that. What we can do is feel it, try to learn from it, try to understand it, and use it as motivation, use it as spiritual fuel and fire, right? So I think we had a good confirmation here. We're going to do an extended real quick. If you want to stick around, click on the link that's right here. And you can have access to all of the extended readings. Cancer, thank you so much for letting me read for you here on Dove and Serpent Tarot.